Welcome back to Something in the Wilderness. This is Steve, and on this podcast, we talk about all things Andrew McMahon. Usually, we focus on a song in a particular episode. This time, we're doing a Rock Boat in Review episode. I have Marcy here, my wife, and she went on the Rock Boat with me, and so I asked her to join me for this episode.
Thanks for having me on.
And so, like I said, usually we talk about a song. We'll probably be mentioning several songs today, but not digging in too deep on any of them. Just really talking about what that experience was like to see Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness headline the Rock Boat 2021, and what it was like to see the other bands, what it was like to walk on that boat for the first time, and basically our favorite moments from it. So let's get started. So Marcy, going into the Rock Boat, did you have certain expectations based on what you had heard or read about it?
Not really. Just everybody kept saying, like, you just can't explain it. We can't explain what it's really like. So maybe I had really high expectations for it going into it. I don't know. I pack really ahead of time for things like this. So I started packing 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. So I think I was just glad that it was here by the time it came. How about you?
Well, as you know, I like to do a lot of research on finding out what I'm getting into. I love digging into music and concerts and experiences that people had. And so we found the Rock Boat Family Facebook group, and I was just asking away all my questions. I also found a Rock Boat Family group local to Ohio, where we live, and was asking some questions on there. I found everybody to be pretty helpful, but I guess you can say my expectations were pretty high. I knew that artists would perform 3 times each. I knew there were multiple venues. I knew there was no way to see every band every time because there's so much going on. And I knew it was hard to even find time to eat in between all the concerts. So these are the things I knew going in. But when we got that schedule about a week or two before...
Oh boy, I had to print that schedule a lot.
Yeah, the schedule changed a few times, and it was honestly a bit stressful. And that's probably not the last time I'll say that on this episode. But at times it was stressful because I felt committed to seeing Andrew McMahon every time he played, but there's other artists that I felt committed to seeing every single time they played as well.
See, I didn't feel stressed for any of that. I don't even know if I felt stressed. I think I kind of felt like this just waiting game because we had to PCR test and it had to be negative, and we had to rapid test to get on the boat, and we had to make sure our kids were healthy before we left them with my mom for a week. And so I think there was like all these things. So until like we actually walked on the boat, I didn't feel stressed or overly excited because I wanted it to be real and not get all this build up beforehand and then not be able to get on.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting waiting at the port to get on the boat because, as Marcy mentioned, we had to do a PCR COVID test ahead of time, 4 days before. Then we had to do a rapid test to get on the boat. And in order to find out that you had a negative test on the rapid test, your number was called like bingo. And so people would wave their card in the air to notify one of the staff members that their number was up there and they were ready to get on the boat.
But while you're waiting, they have you sitting right up against everybody else, which was baffling to me while you're right up against every other person. But
yeah, I guess they figure at that point, we're all in it and we're going to be getting on a boat and unmasking with 2,000 people anyway, so... Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic for sure because so once we left that room, then we'd go into the actual port, kind of looked like an airport, I guess, and we had to wait there with everybody for a couple of hours. We were supposed to stay masked up, so that's what we did, and we waited to get on the ship. Meanwhile, we saw some of the artists getting on. They would walk past us through this glass hallway.
Which was very exciting because then you knew, like, oh, they're actually getting on. They tested negative. Let's go.
Because for a year, while we've been booked for this thing, I was just so paranoid that Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, one of his crew members, his manager, him, or one of his bandmates would test positive before the boat, and they wouldn't be able to get on. And that was obviously the primary reason we signed up for the Rock Boat.
Yeah. Well, there was one band, 2 artists that were not able to get on because they tested positive.
Yeah, and I know for some people, some people were just as excited to see those 2 artists as I was to see Andrew McMahon, so I feel badly for them. But as a consolation prize, we got Vertical Horizon that joined the boat 24 hours before the boat. And I'll talk a little bit about them because I liked them more than I thought I would. But yeah, it was neat to kind of see the artists get on the ship while we were waiting. It kind of heightened the anticipation. And then we're waiting there, and we're seeing all these different people. A lot of people seem to know each other, which honestly is a little bit intimidating when you walk into a situation when you have these groups of 2, 4, 8, or 50 people that all know each other that are experiencing this together. And I would say I've met one of the people before we got on this boat that were on it besides Marcy, but for the most part, we knew nobody going on. And we had been told that people are super friendly and that we'll just meet people along the way. So that was my expectation.
But I feel like it was very subdued in the waiting area. Like right before we got on the ship, like everybody was just sitting there listening to music, reading books. Somebody did come by and give me, what do they call it? The swag.
Yeah.
The swag. Gave me a bracelet that was really beautiful. So that was cool.
Give a brief description of what swag is so people who don't know anything about the Rock
So
Boat.
swag is people make things that represent the Rock Boat or a certain artist that's going to be on there, and they hand them out. So handing them out from they walk around when there's a crowd and they're giving out, bracelets and things. We got at the Andrew McMahon one of the concerts, somebody was giving out magnets that had Rock Boat 21 and a picture of Andrew on them. One night when we came back to our room, somebody had made a pin and it was just sitting outside of our door, and it looked like they had just gone down the hallway and left that pin. Oh, at the meet and greet waiting area, somebody was giving out pins there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just people trading them. I think was supposed to be what you do, but we didn't make any swag, and people were still super generous just handing out cool little trinkets. Oh, we also got the Rock Boat beer keychain.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Our kids have them on their book bags.
Yeah. It's a keychain shaped it's a metal keychain shaped like a guitar, but it's also
to open beer.
It's also a bottle opener. They don't need to know that. Yeah. And their friends at school don't need to know that either. Their teachers probably know that, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got onto the boat, and everybody slowly but surely took off their masks, and it was time. I mean, we knew that we hoped that everybody on the boat was COVID-free. You had to be vaccinated to get on the boat. That was one big reason we felt more comfortable than we would have. I don't know that we would have done this otherwise. The first thing we saw when we walked in was the atrium, and there was a stage right there, and the first artist of the entire boat would be Megan Farrell, and she was going to play in the atrium. So we grabbed lunch at the Irish restaurant, and honestly, we had met some people within a couple of hours of getting on the ship. There was a couple from Ohio, like we're from, and we had kind of connected through the Rock Boat Ohio Facebook group ahead of time, and we found each other, and they were kind of our gracious host, to be honest. They showed us, they introduced us to a few people. They kind of gave us the overall layout of how things were going to go. At least me, they eased my tension a little bit about, meeting people and getting on the boat and seeing all these artists. And one piece of advice they gave, and a lot of people give that have done this before, is pace yourself. And another thing is you're not going to be able to do it all.
No problem.
Yeah. And so, yeah, pacing ourselves didn't turn out to be a problem at all. And I think what a lot of people are referring to is overdoing it in terms of alcohol consumption, or just like going too hard those first few days so that you're tired the rest of the week. So,
or just running from concert to concert to concert.
Yeah.
And not taking a break.
Yeah. And I think that's what they meant about not overdoing it in terms of trying to do it all. And that's where I wouldn't say I regret that. It's not a regret of mine, but I did see 6 concerts on that first night. And so
I did not. Partly because there were some really large waves, and I was not feeling so great.
Oh, yeah. The waves were pretty huge. I mean, we were literally, we saw American authors in the theater that first night, indoors, and we were literally rocking back and forth.
I mean, the artists were asking if this was normal, asking, like, is this how the whole week's going to be? But even when we were outside up on the top deck, the pool still had water in it at that point, and it was going back and forth so much, you could literally see the bottom of the pool when the water would switch one way and then back the other way. There was water everywhere. Yeah,
the pool was like a giant wave coming up out of it. So they had to eventually empty the pool. But yeah, the very first show we saw was Sister Hazel. But I would say what really got me into the mood for music. Actually, no. The very first show we saw was Megan Farrell that afternoon. Mm-hmm. And then we saw the Sister Hazel Sail Away show, which is a tradition, I was told, where they always do the Sail Away show as we're leaving port, and they always bring on other artists. what was really neat is, so we stuck around for that, of course. We wanted to see what they were going to do. Surprise, surprise, Andrew and his band came up on stage during that. Did you remember that?
I did, and actually, of everything Andrew McMahon did that we saw, it was my least favorite of any of his songs or performances.
Why was that?
It just seemed very subdued. He did Blue Vacation, and I just feel like there's a lot of energy, and that song I didn't feel like had a ton of energy, but I feel like it might be because it was just him singing with
Bobby playing guitar. Acoustic guitar, by the way.
Yeah, so I feel like there's all this energy, and then it went to a slower song with just an acoustic guitar. And I don't know. I guess at that point I was like, oh, this wasn't it just wasn't my favorite of anything Andrew did the whole time.
Yeah, it was definitely subdued. I agree there. And we were watching from pretty far back as well. So it's like being at an arena show and you're all the way in the back. So that was probably the furthest back we were for any concert the whole week. And so I felt like we probably felt a little bit outside of it as well. But yeah, it was definitely, subdued is a good word. Like Marcy said, it was just Bobby on an acoustic, Andrew singing, and then you had Mikey, Jay, and Morgan on backing vocals. That's all they were doing. They didn't bring any instruments. So it was definitely pretty bare bones. And I understand why, because it was a Sister Hazel concert that 5 other people just walked on the stage and performed a song for. So it was like whatever they had in their hands is what they had. So, but that was kind of a cool like Easter egg or just kind of a hidden thing. Because a lot of people didn't catch that. I found out later in the week as we met more Andrew fans that, yeah, a lot of people missed that, didn't even know it happened. So, and I didn't get any video, and the picture I got of that was really poor because I was so far back. But we did catch it, and actually at that point, that's when we met our first fellow Andrew McMahon fan. She stopped by. That was Allie, and she and her friend stopped by and said hi while we were watching that performance, actually, from what I remember. So. All right, so Marcy, we've talked about just those first couple of shows. What do you think of the concerts in general? I mean, we're talking 5 days of concerts, which neither of us have ever done before, on a cruise ship, which is even more unique. What was it like to watch live music so much and have it everywhere all of the time?
In some ways, it was really exciting, and I liked it. You know, when we were walking back from, one place to another, or we're going to get something to eat, and then we walk through an area, it's like, oh, who's that playing? And then you stop for a couple songs. That was really great, but I also am a person that needs, like, some quiet. So by usually 11 o'clock at night, my brain was just on overload, and I could not listen to any more loud music, any more sound. Like, my brain was just done.
At that point in the night, I think I was ready for some acoustic music too. I know I did catch a couple of artists after Marcy went to sleep. Actually, one of the most surreal moments on the boat for me, well, just besides the fact that you could walk anywhere on the boat and find a concert going on. I think there was a time we were walking around at some point in the week where we stopped by 4 or 5 different concerts and just caught like a song or two from each. And that to me was really cool, really special. But one of the most surreal moments was on that very first night. It was late at night. It was like 11 or 11:30 at night, and Vertical Horizon was starting in the Stardust Theater. So I mentioned earlier that I didn't know I would be a fan of Vertical Horizon. I mean, they did write one of my favorite songs of all time. That's Everything You Want. But, their other stuff I wasn't as familiar with. But I sat down with about 30 other people in this huge theater while they were getting warmed up. I didn't realize they were getting warmed up. I was a little bit early for the show. And I felt like I just sat down in this guy's living room, and he was doing a sound check with his band and just kind of talking to the audience members in between sound check songs. So it was like super intimate and, again, surreal that I was sitting in this theater on a boat at like 11:30 at night, and Vertical Horizon was just like playing to 30 people. Now, I will say when the actual concert started, there were hundreds of people that showed up, because the previous concert down the hall had ended. But it was really cool and really intimate for that time. And even when they played their whole set, it was really good. And I became more of a fan of Vertical Horizon than honestly I thought I'd ever be. So kudos to them. They put on a good show. I caught all 3 of their sets throughout the week, and it wasn't intentional. It was just like where we were at the time.
I caught half of one.
Yeah, on one of those last nights. Yep.
But I think you brought up a good point about the intimacy. Like that's part of what makes the Rock Boat, I think, very unique is that it's so intimate. From you're sitting in the hot tub and one of the lead singers of American Authors jumps into the hot tub and hangs out with you, or you're sitting down to breakfast and you are watching Andrew Leahy, trying to juggle his plate and all his stuff just along with the rest of us. And so even during the sound checks, I don't know if they always talk as much to the crowd as they did during their sound checks, or when you're watching them set up their drums and put the stickers, for their emblems on the front of the drum set because multiple artists are using it, and the stories that they told sometimes. So I think that intimacy is a big part of what makes the Rock Boat special.
Yeah, I don't know if most of these artists are used to doing their sound check and getting set up with everybody watching. Usually they have a bigger crew, I'm sure, on tour, but it's kind of bare bones on the Rock Boat. You can only bring so many people per artist with you. But it was super neat to be able to walk anywhere on the boat, let's say between noon and after midnight every day, and there would just be live music going on anywhere you went, which, as Marcy pointed out, that could be a downside for somebody who needs some quiet time, who needs some downtime. For example, I remember, Marcy, at times you just wanted to lay out on the pool deck and enjoy the sunshine, and if you did that, you'd be listening to some rock music at the same time, whether you like it or not.
I mean, if you did it before 10 a.m., like I went and ran out on the pool deck area at 9 a.m., like 8:30, 9 a.m., and it was quiet.
And whereas I'm more of like, I couldn't wait for the music to start. I was looking forward to it the whole time. So that was more exciting to me to have the music going on. But I don't typically enjoy seeing artists in concert as nearly as much if I don't know their music. So I really tried to give myself the opportunity to listen to artists that I didn't know as well. Although I will admit, I focused more on the artists that I knew something of already. And I'd done my research, my Rock Boat research. I'd listened to playlists and made my own playlist of songs I thought I might like by artists I thought I might like, and kind of focused in on them. But I did catch some unexpected things as well. I mean, I mentioned Megan Farrell. She surprised me. Andrew Leahy surprised me. He was really talented, him and his band. And then Nick Fradiani I became a fan of. Mickey James even. Picture, let's see, Jack White meets Mick Jagger.
He exudes rock star.
Yeah.
Steve was in the bathroom and I was standing outside and I was talking to someone else who are also new, because you wear tags and the tags say how many years you've been on there. And it wasn't until the fourth day we realized it's your first year, not only does yours say 1, it's also a different color than everybody else's. So it's kind of, like shouting from the rooftops that you're new. But I was talking to 2 others that were new, and Mickey James walked by, and I didn't know it was him at the time, but he walked by, and I was like, if that's not somebody that's in a band, I would not believe it, because he had
an entourage with him as well.
No, when I saw him, he was by himself.
I saw him with an entourage of people.
But I saw his hair, like he had a sweater vest thing on. He had some like shimmery, shiny pants, and it was hot out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Andrew Leahy at breakfast earlier, and that was my experience seeing Mickey James. One of the times, that's one time I didn't see him surrounded by people. He was like just bringing his breakfast up, getting some water or whatever, and I was like, oh, it's some leader of a band just getting his breakfast. So what I realized pretty quickly, though, is obviously we didn't know all of the artists on the boat. We didn't know who a lot of them were. And what I quickly realized on the boat is, okay, if it's a guy with a burly beard and jeans and he has long sleeves on, he's probably in a band.
Or long hair.
Or long hair, because most of us were, just clothing-wise, most of us were in T-shirts and shorts. And so if they kind of dressed like they were going on stage, it was easy to tell.
Or like Mom Rock, you definitely couldn't miss, because they had baseball jerseys that said Mom Rock across the front.
Well, it got confusing when there were other people wearing the same jersey. But Mom Rock had a very unique look in general, so you'd probably know it was them.
Yeah.
They were probably one of the biggest hits on the boat for a lot of people. Not only was their music good, but they were just so genuine and genuinely having a good time and wanting to be among the people.
They were everywhere.
Yeah, they made a good impression, let's say, on a lot of people. And so much so that on the last night of the Rock Boat, they were already invited back for the next Rock Boat, and I don't think that happens often. So they had a lot of personality and a lot of memorable moments, let's say, on the boat with Mom Rock. But that was how it went for a lot of these artists. Like Marcy pointed out, just like seeing these artists in the hot tub or jumping in the pool or like just out on the pool deck hanging out talking to people. I wouldn't say it was like this mob fan atmosphere where people would like run up to them and like, want to get all the artists' attention. I didn't see that. I don't think I ever saw that. Yeah, people would get selfies, people would ask questions of the artists or want to hang out with them. Sure, I wanted to as well, but I was much more reserved, and I didn't know what I would say to an artist, so I never did approach anybody except at the meet and greet. And I'm okay with that. I don't regret my decision to do that. I just thought I'd let them have their space, enjoy the boat. I'd enjoy the boat, and if we naturally crossed paths, that would be cool. But I did get to talk to all the artists at the meet and greet, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But let's talk specifically about the Andrew shows, Marcy. So how many times did we see Andrew last week?
Well, we saw him 4, plus if you count when he came on with Sister Hazel, that would have been 5, but that was just one song. So I guess technically 4 major times.
I never thought in my lifetime I'd see an artist 4 times in 1 week, let alone my favorite artist of all time. So obviously that was a selling point for why we got on the boat. But we only thought it was going to be 3, actually. The 4th was a surprise.
It was, because we thought it was going to be, it just said Andrew and John, and we thought it might be Andrew Leahy, not Andrew McMahon, so.
Yeah, because we knew Andrew Leahy was doing some other things with other artists on the boat. But it turned out it was Andrew and John. I found out from Tracy, who's another Andrew McMahon fan who I'd met at the Pontiac shows last summer. She let me in on the fact that it was Andrew and John. So when I met Andrew at the meet and greet on Tuesday morning, I confirmed with him. I was like, "Hey, Andrew, is that you and John Foreman of Switchfoot this afternoon playing in the Stardust?" He was like, "Yeah." Of course, he was so like cool and chill about it. He's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna do a few songs and just see what happens." And I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm really looking forward to it." And speaking of meet and greet, I'll just go ahead and tell that story now. So I asked him at the meet and greet if he had any new music coming out anytime soon. He said, "Oh, he's hopefully next summer. He's hoping to release new music." And I said, "Well, because the reason I ask is the last song that you released, New Year's song, I loved. And it was such a special moment for my family and I, where my wife played the song right at midnight as it was released for all 4 of us, the whole family. And we listened to it. Everybody got quiet and we listened to it. It was a really special moment." And I think Andrew appreciated that story. But then he says, "Yeah, we're going to actually try to work that into one of the sets this week." And so I was super excited. I didn't know that he really meant he was going to play it. And that very afternoon, he played it during that set. But let's go back to the first set that Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness did, Monday night.
Thanks. I gotta go in order to keep them straight.
So Monday night, the first full day on the boat, we didn't get our beach day, which was super disappointing. We had an announcement early that morning that
those darn waves.
The waves were too big. We couldn't tender in from the ship, which was taking a little boat from the ship.
And we had the all-inclusive package, and that was the island where we could use the all-inclusive package.
Yeah, it was
one of the package on the island.
One of the bigger disappointments on our experience. We'll try to focus on the positive because there was a lot of great things that we did that week, but that was something that we felt like we missed out on. So that first show was to start at 5 o'clock, I think is when it started on Monday night. And it was a full band performance. So that was a cool, based on the fact that Andrew had been touring just with Morgan and Mikey for the last month. But we knew that Jay and Bobby were on the boat because of what we saw.
We saw them come in.
Well, we saw them come in, but we also saw them perform that acoustic song at the Sister Hazel show. So the whole band got out there and they did a sound check because we gathered early.
This was my favorite part. Okay, first, my favorite part of this one is on the Rock Boat, if you get there 20 or so minutes before, you can stand right up front to see whatever band you want. Versus when you go to a concert at a place, like you're way far back or you have to pay this huge amount of money, which a cruise is expensive in general, but it wasn't for this just one piece. So I really like that we got to stand right up there.
Yeah, we didn't have to fight any crowds. It's just like oh, it's 20 minutes before the band is starting. Let's just walk right up to the barricade.
And people don't push, like when you're at other ones, or I'm short, so I always try to stand behind someone that's also short. And like there was none of that like super tall people coming and cutting in and trying to squeeze in. And it was just very relaxed, which was nice. Someone's like, hey, I want to go grab another drink. Everyone's like, great, we'll hold your spot for you.
Yeah,
Done. Like,
that was a first for me.
and it wasn't just like a 6-inch spot. Like they really held your whole area. So it wasn't like they just held a 6-inch spot for you. Like they really held your whole area. And when you got back, it was like, hey, here's your spot back. So that was my first favorite part of this one. And then my second part was the sound check.
Yeah, the sound check was amazing. They did, from memory, Punk Rock Princess. They did part of House in the Trees, which I got super excited about. I don't remember the third song off the top of my head.
American Girl.
Oh, they did American Girl by Tom Petty. That's
yeah, because
right.
he said we might play this later this week. So they ran through the entire song. But I think my favorite part of the sound check is they were just all so comfortable and, we're just talking like to the crowd. And
he was just talking to the people up front, like, answering questions. Not really answering questions, but just kind of interacting.
Yeah, more interacting. Casual. Like even it seemed like usually they wouldn't be projecting the sound for a lot of that. And he was like, hey, let's just play it all together,
Yeah, you guys. He was like, you guys get a special sneak preview of the week right now, and so the 100 or so people who are on the pool, probably more than that, but like who were gathered around the front, got super lucky, and it was just one of those things that you didn't know to plan for. You just, if you showed up early enough, and I would say we said 20 minutes earlier, but we were actually there about 45 minutes before it started, and I'm glad we were because we got that special treat of seeing those 3 songs played. Again, very intimately they played them with a full band, but it just felt intimate because there were so few people there. And so that was super special. The set in general was great. I mean, there's songs that the band played 3 times throughout the week, and I'm okay with that because they're their big songs, and they play them in just about every concert that Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness perform these days. But they threw a few unique ones in, and that was pretty cool. It was basically like a rock show. It felt a lot like what we saw in Pontiac, Michigan over the summer.
That's what it reminded me of. It was just like a classic, like Andrew McMahon with his whole band playing music, great crowd. He even got in the
unicorn.
Yeah, sorry,
the blow up unicorn.
Got in the blow up unicorn and went around the crowd a little bit. But yeah, I just felt like it was very classic.
Yeah,
what I would expect if I was going to go see Andrew McMahon when we've seen him. Times.
One of the biggest differences in our experience this time was, although we appreciated the pods in Pontiac, Michigan for other reasons, we could actually see everything this time. So like we saw Jay playing the drums, we saw Mikey up close. Like we were pretty much right in between Andrew and Mikey for that first, probably right in front of Mikey for that first show. And I got to see all of his reactions, kind of everything that he does. Every band member that's in that group is so talented. And I wish I would have been able to meet them all at the meet and greet and tell them that. Morgan, Mikey, Jay, Bobby, they're all so great. And I loved being able to like focus on each one individually at times, which was cool because I feel like a lot of us, I'm guilty as anybody else, focus on Andrew, him playing the piano, him singing, because he's the leader of the band. But it's cool sometimes just take a second or a minute or a song and watch those other band members and everything they're doing. Mikey's playing like 3 or 4 different instruments, rotating between them. Like, I'm just amazed by him.
Yeah, what Andrew said, he told Mikey, because they had to do a limited crew and everything, he's like, I need you to build me a spaceship. And what he meant by that was, can you create some kind of setup where you can be playing the drums and doing these sounds and all of this, to make it work? Yeah,
for that live show, obviously they had Jay and they had Bobby, but we'll talk about in a little bit that, another show they did not have all band members. And so Mikey, as you've seen, if you've seen the 3 Pianos tour, Mikey does a lot more of the heavy lifting on the background music. So that was a great set. It ended at night. We got to, basically see the sunset while Andrew was playing. It was like such a great atmosphere. Everybody was having a great time. Andrew made several comments about how great it was to be playing live music again, and not only doing that, but playing it on a boat in the middle of the ocean. That was pretty special, obviously, for all of us. I mean, just to look up at the sky. He played Watch the Sky, so that was kind of cool. He played Island Radio. He played a lot of songs that I feel like pertain to the atmosphere around us. which was cool. Which I guess you could say with a lot of Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness songs, or a lot of his past project songs as well. So, but let's jump now to the Andrew and John show the next afternoon. So Andrew McMahon and John Foreman of Switchfoot played an acoustic show in the Stardust Theater, which was the indoor theater, and we didn't know what to expect. Like, I didn't know if they were going to be playing each other's songs, playing their songs together. What it turned out to be is they just took turns playing their own music.
Well, they did their own music, but there was somewhere one kind of helped out the other one. But
Yeah.
it was interesting because Andrew seems like he's a big planner from what he says.
Yeah, he
and
told a
he's
story
very,
about that.
And he's very type A, and John was just more on the let's just wing this.
Yeah.
So I will say Andrew seemed a little bit stressed about their whole setup of what they were doing.
So Andrew just peeled back the curtain pretty quickly, and he basically said what Marcy just said, in that he wanted to plan it all to a T, but John was like, oh, let's just see where things go. And they kind of found a place in the middle. Like, they had some kind of semi-scripted stuff, but then a lot of it was kind of played loose. We'll see where things go. I think they knew what songs they were going to play and kind of what was going to happen. But the conversation was really fun to watch because it reminded me of Storytellers, which I think was a VH1 show 25 years ago or so. Where just like the band would be up on stage and they'd be talking about the music they're playing, either the story behind it or something associated with the song or the lyrics. And so I just thought that was really fun.
It was. Like, when we found out that John, the first couple of times they played originally, he did not move at all. And then Andrew made a joke about the Dare You to Move song.
Yeah. Well, he said his drummer was like, hey, you can get up and move around the audience a little bit more. And Andrew goes, did he dare you to move?
Yeah. And it was like an ongoing joke through the whole part then.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Switchfoot's biggest song is Dare You to Move. You probably know that.
But John is like, from Switchfoot, is all over the stage now. Like, he's climbing on things when we were at the outside pool area. So it's very interesting to hear that he originally...
Oh, and when we saw them in the Stardust, he went up in the crowd and stood on the seats and sang to...
Yeah, but he wasn't climbing on like the metal scaffolding like he was outside.
Yeah, so he definitely moves around a bit more now. I gained a new appreciation for Switchfoot through that show. I was like, okay, to hear the stories behind the songs, to hear them performed acoustically in such an intimate setting, to kind of get to know the singer, I think that does a lot for me for music of an artist. It elevates the music to know that the singer or any member of the band is a good person, is a cool person that I want to hear, that I want to listen to.
And I think too that sometimes things are hard for them too. Like, Andrew was playing one of his songs and John was supposed to be playing like a certain melody or something on the guitar, and Andrew was like, come on, I'm gonna need you to get in on this. Because John was kind of struggling with it a little bit of what his part was supposed to be. And...
Yeah, those little improvisational parts were funny though, because it was just gave you insight into their character as human beings, and we don't get that at a lot of the concerts. Like Andrew pointed out, he's when he goes up on stage, he's like, I have a plan. Here's my set. I stick to the set. I know what I'm going to do. But this was a little bit more loose, and it got him a little outside of his comfort zone. But he told some really funny stories too.
He did tell funny stories. It definitely got him out. The Dare You to Move at the end, which I'm going to save because it's one of my 5 most memorable moments. But
okay, so we'll hold off on that.
Yeah.
Andrew did play New Year's Song at the Andrew and John show, which was pretty awesome.
I'm pretty sure I teared up.
Oh, I think a lot of people did. I know I did. I couldn't take video or take pictures because I was too busy being emotional over that song. I think a lot of people felt that same way that knew the song, and I think there were a lot of Switchfoot fans in the house that felt similarly about some of the songs that John played too. To be fair, but Andrew also played "La La La," an acoustic version, just a piano only version, and "Cecilia and the Satellite," and "Kavanaugh Park." I did take video of Kavanaugh Park, and that'll be on our YouTube channel, and there will be a link to my Rock Boat Videos playlist on the show notes here on this episode. So check that out. That's one of the videos you'll get by clicking that link. I don't take too many full videos at concerts in general for a lot of reasons. The main reason is that I like to enjoy the show, and I'm worried it'll take me outside the experience. But I got to say, I'm grateful for everyone else who takes videos so I can go back and watch them later. But Kavanaugh Park, I made an exception. It was one of the exceptions I made that week, and I took a full video of that song. You ready to move on to Tuesday night's performance?
Tuesday night. Let's do it.
All right. So what was different about the Tuesday night performance versus the Monday night Wilderness performance?
Tuesday night, it was just Andrew, Mikey, and Morgan. So it was a lot more like what we've heard the Three Pianos tour is like.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures and short video clips on Instagram of the Three Pianos tour. And besides the mirrors and the video screens, this pretty much looked exactly like that in terms of the layout of this, where the band members were, the instruments they played. One big difference, though, we got this as a bonus on the Rock Boat compared to the Three Pianos tour, is that Bobby came out for a couple of songs.
He did.
And that was kind of cool. They'd be like, all right, bring out Bobby again, and he would just, apparently he was just waiting behind the curtain. I don't know.
And it was like, why didn't you put all the ones with Bobby together? It made me wonder, like, why are we resetting up for him every couple of songs? I don't know.
That was such a different show, even though some of the songs were the same. All right, they still played Firescape and Cecilia and I Woke Up in a Car and all the hits, let's say. But they played some different songs, like we got Halls, which is just a lovely song, especially in that atmosphere. If you watch the Dear Jack live stream, you would have seen that same version played on there as well. And another thing that we got that was special was Restless Dream, which I've never considered one of my favorite songs, but for some reason that performance was really, really special to me that day. In fact, there are several times in the past week since that's happened that song's been playing in the back of my head, and I'm remembering those moments where Bobby was just kind of playing on the guitar. Morgan didn't play on that song, but what I noticed and what was really cool, like she had nothing else to do but just sit and watch, but it was just really neat to watch Bobby and Andrew play, and it was like she was enjoying it as a fan. And that's something I noticed about that is like, again, you get that little bit of insight into these band members as human beings. And I saw a little bit of that night, and just that casual feel of, like I said, Bobby coming out when Andrew would be like, "Hey, let's bring Bobby back out," and he's like, "Okay, I'll come out and play a song," And
on the Dear Jack one that they did the other night, did they tell the same story about when Andrew wasn't feeling so great the one night after he'd taken something, and that Bobby played him classical music to make him feel better on his guitar?
No, that was in the book though.
Okay.
That was, that's a story read out of the book, which obviously really happened. But that was, I think, leading up to Halls.
Yeah,
because that was at that same hotel. I felt very fortunate because I thought I had missed out of the Three Pianos tour. And I was so I didn't go to Cleveland, didn't go to Cincinnati, didn't go to Pittsburgh, didn't go to Detroit. And I was sort of regretting it. But honestly, that all went away that night. I was like, I got to see the Three Pianos set.
yeah.
And again, I felt so great about the fact that 2 nights in a row, well, in 2 days, we saw Andrew perform 3 times. But the 2 Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness sets were 2, even though, again, some of the songs overlapped, completely different feel. There was no like hard rocking, necessarily jumping around on Tuesday night, but it was just a very, again, if you've seen Three Pianos tour, you know what I'm talking about. It was just a very cool feel to it.
The other part that I really liked of that one, well, I feel like in all of them he did this, except for the Andrew and John, obviously, because Morgan wasn't there, but he really showcased Morgan in Something Wild in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And at this particular one on that night, Morgan actually stayed after the rest of the band left the stage and stood there and talked to people and things, and she just looks like she's so genuinely happy when people tell her or clap for her or yell her name when she comes out. So I think that one made this unique too.
In the few chances I've been able to meet artists in the past, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, the artists I got to meet on this boat, I always try to make that clear how much I appreciate them looking like they're having fun, and I think it's genuine. And when you can tell an artist is having fun on stage, it makes you enjoy the show more. And I know they know that, but it's so special seeing those moments like that, like those genuine smiles from the band members that they're having a good time. So, well, let's quickly touch on the Thursday night performance.
Okay.
To me, Thursday night was a whole lot like Monday night.
It was, but for some reason, I loved Monday night a little bit more. But I think it's because I'm not a fan from way back when Constantine was.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew part of the build-up for that last night was that he was going to play Constantine.
I really enjoyed seeing Constantine. We can just start right there. One of the last songs of the night was Constantine. They did Constantine. Then I think they ended with La La La, which is as I've said in a previous episode.
He ended with American Girl because it was Veterans Day.
Oh, that's right. He ended with American Girl. That's when he played American Girl. So
La 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 was not the last song.
Yeah, La 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 was in the middle, which is actually weird because I think that's a good set ender, but I know he does that a lot. The La 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 was a song they also played 3 times throughout the week, but in a different spot some of the nights. But you're right. American Girl was the only song they played after Constantine. Constantine was really good. It met all expectations. I was really happy about that.
I don't think you had to look at the words.
Yeah, so the funny thing that Marcy noticed as they were getting set up.
Well, and I think I noticed it. So it was very windy on that night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
super windy.
Yeah, like Morgan had to redo her hair because I think it was blowing onto the violin.
Yeah.
I don't think Andrew's hair has looked like that since something corporate day.
I didn't know his hair was that long, but it was like flowing in the wind, like a few inches in some places.
Before the concert started, we saw his manager come out and he was taping, the set list down with black tape. But then I saw him bring out 3 sheets of paper, and I knew he'd already taped the set list down. I was like, I bet he's taping the words to Constantine down.
Well, and I knew that it's 3 sheets of lyrics because the episode I did recently, and I printed them.
Yeah.
But but it was funny because he had them printed in front of him. I'm pretty sure, like you said, he never looked at them.
I don't think he did, unless he looked and we didn't notice him pause like he did when you watched the Dear Jack one.
Yeah, so if you've seen the Dear Jack live stream, I believe he did have to look at the lyrics. He was out in front of the crowd singing, and he's like, hold on, and he went back to the piano and sat down, and it's when he started playing that he's kind of looking at the piano. I don't know if he was looking at the lyrics or not, but it seemed like he was.
Yeah.
So that was...
But
yeah.
hey, I mean, for that long of a song.
Yeah, and it's the only song you play usually once a year. I know it was this time it was twice, technically, but that was great. That was a really nice treat for those of us on the boat because it was 11/11, and it's technically the day of the Foundation concert usually. But so the Rock Boat advertised to us as people who were attending that he was doing, quote, the Dear Jack show on 11/11, and I really felt like, especially after seeing the Foundation concert live stream, I know that the Tuesday night performance in the Stardust Theater was actually the Dear Jack show. Mm-hmm. And he played Constantine on 11/11. So it doesn't really matter to me.
It's kind of like a mashup of things.
we got everything. There was really nothing left out for me. Like in total, because I'm a set list nerd, I had to count them up. We got 28 different unique songs by Andrew McMahon, and I guess that includes actually 29 if you include American Girl. I didn't put that on the list. The people who caught the set list or received the set list from band members were kind enough to share those with me, so I was able to get a picture of the official set list at least.
Because he threw them out after
each
show.
Yeah, so some people are really rabid about that and grab those set lists. And actually, we saw the Constantine him throw out the Constantine lyrics, and Tracy caught them. And so that we knew, so that was pretty cool because she was right in the front row, and so she was able to grab those. And I think from what I remember her saying is that she thought it was a set list she was catching. But yeah, so that was, it was cool to kind of look over those set lists and kind of, okay, there was like 7 songs he played 3 times throughout the week. But in total...
Fire Escape, of course.
Yeah. Cecilia, I Woke Up in a Car.
He cut Cecilia the one night, though.
But he played it at the daytime show.
Yeah.
The mixtape, which that was the only surprise. Like, if you would tell me Andrew played this song 3 times throughout the week, the mixtape was one that I wasn't completely expecting, because he did play that once over the summer in Pontiac.
He played Ohio more than I thought he would too.
Yeah, he played Ohio twice, and that was so he played it, I think, the first 2 nights. And actually, it wasn't planned the first night. Remember?
Yeah,
he asked Jay, Jay, what song do you want to do?
Oh, that's right.
We have time for an extra one, and Jay said Ohio, and we had met several Ohio Andrew fans throughout the week. You could see there were several places in the crowd that were like going nuts.
Yes.
When they announced Ohio, and
your wife.
We were 2 of them. Yeah. So big fans of that song because it's a great song in general. Were there any memorable moments from that last performance besides Constantine and American Girl?
Well, he totally rocked American Girl. I'm sure he rocked Constantine too, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I gotta say,
I've heard in one of your other episodes about Constantine something about that you put it on for me and I left the room. So
yeah, you did.
I'm not the best judge of Constantine, but he did crowd surf during that concert and I actually got to help like hold his leg and push his leg back over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was again. I don't usually take long videos during concerts, but I was taking a short video of him crowd surfing. You can find that on our YouTube channel as well, and you will see my hand in the corner of the view of the camera because I thought I was going to have to carry Andrew. Luckily, Marcy grabbed him and helped him along, or else he would have fallen on me and my phone. You know, maybe I just shouldn't have had my phone out and been focusing on what was going on. But it was kind of a cool moment. That was, I think, during Island Radio, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah. And
that's
then,
usually where he comes into the crowd.
And then the other one, he ran up to the top.
Yeah, Deck 13.
Deck 13, ran all the way around, ran behind the stage.
And sang from back there.
Sang from back there.
With some fans.
And then ran back down. So
that was pretty cool. We caught a view, just a side note, we caught a view of a vertical horizon one night, just walking by. And don't forget that Mikey was watching the same show from like the same vantage point. We could kind of see him down the way. But anyway, it was kind of cool to watch an artist from behind, because when do you ever get to do that? Like stand up behind like the drummer and watch the whole thing. So although we didn't see Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness that way, we did see Vertical Horizon for about 3 songs that way. And like Marcy said, Andrew was back there from that same vantage point singing behind the band up above on the above deck. So that was pretty cool. So I mentioned the meet and greet earlier, so I just wanted to briefly touch on that whole experience because, again, one more super unique thing about the Rock Boat. I've met artists that I enjoyed before, but it's never been such an experience for me. I'd probably equate it more like to a sound check that a lot of Andrew fans go to, where they get to meet him and hang out with other people who are, big fans of the same artist. But basically, you'd line up to get a ticket, and they'd call you in based on your group number to go into the room for the meet and greet. That way, it was kind of an organized way of letting a certain amount of people in at a time. But you go to each table and you could just say a few things, say a few words to the artist that you wanted to. And a lot of people had posters. So I did get every artist that I wanted, that I enjoyed throughout the week, to sign my poster. I got to talk to, obviously, Andrew. I talked to Chris for just a few minutes, just introduced myself and told him I appreciate all his hard work. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's fun. It's not a big deal. But I really think he was downplaying it because we saw him looking a little stressed out that first set, that first night, Monday night, when they were getting set up. Not every piece of the sound was working exactly the way they wanted. So I know he does a lot of the behind the scene. He helps with a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And, even from just like helping Andrew get from place to place. And so I just told him I appreciate, all the work he does behind the scenes. And it was just cool to chat with him for a minute or two. Like I mentioned earlier, the rest of the band was not at the meet and greet. And I met several other bands that morning, and on Thursday morning there was a whole new set of artists that you got to meet. And but really the most exciting part of the meet and greet for me was just talking to other fans that were excited to talk to the artists. And, throughout the week we met other Andrew McMahon fans. I would say that was, one of the coolest things about going on the Rock Boat.
Way to keep taking all my top 5 things that I was supposed to save for the end.
Don't worry, it's one of mine anyway.
Okay.
We're transitioning soon, don't worry. So, yeah, okay, well, let's just go there. Are you ready to go there?
I'm ready to go there.
Okay. So, one of my top 5 things about the Rock Boat is being among all those Andrew McMahon fans, or even just music-related fans. I mean, I would say we made some good, genuine friendships on that boat. And, just people to walk around with, hang out by the pool, at the pool, in the hot tub, watching concerts.
Help them out with drinks if they forgot to order the drink package that was free.
Yeah. I mean, just having drinks with people, and or even that day where a lot of people went to Jamaica, we just sat with another couple and just talked music and like our lives and where we're from and everything for a couple of hours. Like it was just really refreshing just to kind of sit and hang out and talk to other people, but knowing that everybody there was there for the same reason. Everybody was there for live music. Everybody was there because they have this passion for music. And it didn't hurt that like 400 of them that were there for just for Andrew McMahon.
Right. And more people than I realized have Andrew McMahon tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw some cool ones, like really interesting ones. I was like,
like,
yeah.
maybe I need to get one.
Yeah, maybe I need one. I've never had a tattoo in my life and never really was interested, but now I feel like I need
Well, I
one.
do, but I'm
Yeah.
just, it's like if
No.
I ever decide to get another one.
Yeah. I probably won't, but I will enjoy looking at all of your tattoos. Not yours, but people listening. Okay, so that was definitely one of my favorite things.
It was also one of my favorite things. I mean, even like some of them were like, "Hey, are you coming back to the next? Try already making those plans of we know we probably won't see each other for the next year or so because we don't live anywhere near each other, but this is kind of our place and our where we'll meet up again now." So
And I said this on a prior episode, probably about the Pontiac, Michigan shows, where I don't think I can go to a Midwestern show without seeing someone I know and want to hang out with. Now, I'm feeling that way about a lot of different places in the United States now. Like, I feel like I know fans from many different places now around the nation, which is super cool to meet other like-minded fans. I've never been in that environment before where there were so many people that I felt were a lot like me with the way they love music. And
you proposed.
yeah, I did. So
he proposed to me. He took me outside
on the balcony,
on the ocean,
and proposed what? Not marriage. So we already married.
It wasn't even a proposal. It was pretty much begging me to let him come back on a rock boat.
Yeah. Yeah. And several people.
Wait, several other people did that?
No. I was going to go somewhere else, but I'll hold off on that comment.
Okay,
what's your next? So top 5 in no particular order. We've already both named one. That may be my top, but we're not doing it in a particular order. So what's your next one? What's another top 5?
So I'll skip back to the Andrew and John show since I didn't say it earlier. So for the last song, John was going to play Dare You to Move because Andrew asked for him to play it as a fan. And Andrew's challenge, I guess, to Andrew was only if you'll play it with me. And Andrew looked very nervous, but he agreed to. And the focus on Andrew's face trying to watch the notes that John was playing on his guitar and like keep pace with him was just, it was very memorable of how like you could tell he was trying so hard and he wanted to do it well. And
yeah, if you can find some video of that out there somewhere, I know some people have video of it, but it was really funny to watch and really interesting. Again, just insight into his personality.
But then like it was like halfway through though, like he finally got into the groove of it. You could see him physically relax and get more into where he does a little bit of movement while he's playing and just he started enjoying the experience, I think, that he was in.
And just seeing him like learn the song while it was happening.
Yeah.
He was following John Foreman's fingers on the guitar and trying to play the same tune or something similar, or something that would match on the piano. That was super special.
I also put New Year's song because I feel like that was in the same thing, but we already talked about that. So your turn.
Well, I'll just dovetail off of yours because my second one's very general, and it's the Andrew and John show, and so I'll just touch on a couple moments that stuck out to me. New Year's song was huge. I mean, that could have been one of the most memorable moments of my entire week, easily, but I wanted to expand to also include the fact that John, who again, I wasn't that familiar with Switchfoot's work, but I do like some of their songs, and John played a Bad Religion song acoustically. And it's not only just any Bad Religion song, it was Sorrow, which I know is one of their like more well-known songs in the mainstream. I mean, you probably have to be a punk rock fan to know the song, but it was super interesting because he talked about like going to a lot of those Epitaph shows in the 90s, like being a punk rock fan, which I would not have expected out of John Foreman, but just being a big Bad Religion fan and then playing it. Listening to the lyrics and hearing him sing it, I understand why he chose that song. I could tell it was a really special song to him. And one thing, just kind of adding on to that I really appreciate about Rock Boat people is, like I said, a lot of people are taking video. So if you go in this Rock Boat family Facebook group and you just say, hey, did anybody get video of John Foreman doing Sorrow? Somebody has it probably. Yeah. And I did. I asked exactly that. And I was like, well, what the heck? Like somebody has it out there, and I was able to watch it all over again and re-experience that. So that was super special. And shout out to Lauren on the Rock Boat Family Facebook group who provided that for me. And I actually got a chance to meet her on the boat. All right, what's your next one? Top 5. What's your third?
I'll do my third one, which is super quick, just because we've talked about it. Was just seeing the sound checks, getting to interact with the artists during the sound checks. But I feel like we've covered that one, so. We'll
Okay.
keep my number 3 short. Sound
Okay.
checks.
All right. Well, my third was the meet and greet experience. So I'll keep it brief. I've already talked about it. Just talking to other fans, talking to the artists. It was just so casual. There was no pushing and shoving or like worrying about, oh, that person's cutting or taking too long or like what. It was just so casual. People were so chill and cool about it, and so were the artists. It just felt like we were all hanging out together. And I really liked that area. And you came with me the one day. We were all just sitting to wait to go into the meet and greet room. And everybody was just hanging out, talking, having drinks. And
I think they were all confused. Like, you're not going into the meet and greet. You're
yeah.
just here to hang out.
Yeah, Marcy didn't have much interest, but I said, hey, come in because, we can just hang out with other people that, are really into music like we are. So that was my third. What's your fourth?
My fourth was Flip Cup with Mom Rock and the 6-man crew. I thought that was really fun. It was a really cool event that we were out on the sports deck area. They had tables set up. One of the 6-men crew members was the host or DJ. I don't know, whatever you would call it. And we were actually on a team with 4 other people that we had not met yet. So we got to meet 4 more people. We got to throw it back to college. I got to invigorate my flip cup abilities.
You did surprisingly well.
I was giving you tips and stuff.
Have
I
you
was
been
like,
practicing?
you have to make maybe it just shows how much I did it in college.
Maybe, yeah, because you were really good at that.
But it was really fun, and we only made it to the second round. But the team that we beat for the first round was actually the 6-man team, which I feel like is pretty cool.
Yeah, 6-man being the company that puts on the Rock Boat in partnership with the Norwegian Cruise Line. So,
and then I played flip cup with water.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's okay. That was
Because
acceptable.
I don't drink beer, so
yeah, that was acceptable.
Luckily, the rest of the team drank extra beer, so I could drink water.
Yeah, as a team, you had to split 2 full beers, so the 5 of us made it work pretty easily.
This is my most hydrated day on the ship, I guarantee.
And we got to watch some of our new friends play as well. So a couple of the other couples that we had met throughout the week also participated in the competition. So since we got out early, we got to watch them play. So that was neat too. My fourth memory would be seeing Restless Dream performed by Andrew and Bobby in the Stardust Theater. One of the few times, again, that I did take video. I just felt compelled to do it, so that you can find that on the YouTube page as well, because that's the, besides American Girl by Tom Petty, that's the only song that Andrew performed that week that I had never seen performed live before, I'm pretty sure. And so that felt pretty special, and it sounded great in that theater. Again, I use the word intimate so often already, but I'm going to say it again. It just felt that way. It just felt like we were right there, like we were sitting in someone's living room, listening to them like play piano and an acoustic guitar and sing to us. I don't even know if Andrew played piano on that one. I think he just sang. I think he just sat there and sang, come to think of it.
Yeah.
So, but you can watch the video and find out.
All right, I want to see what your number 5 is to see. Oh, that's not mine.
Okay, so what's your number 5?
All right, so my number 5, let me preface this by saying I am not a hot tub person. Like, I don't need to be in a hot tub, except for the one time when we went to a cabin and it was snowing outside and we got in the hot tub and then it was just too freezing cold to get out, but it was a cool experience. So Megan Farrell was getting ready to play. We were like, let's go in the hot tub. I was like, I'll just put my feet in, which is as much as I did the entire time. But we stayed in the hot tub. We met other people that, like, this is the thing they do because you can see the stage from the hot tub.
We met like 4 or 5 Andrew fans that day in the hot tub with us.
Too, as well as some people I think like pretty much live in the hot tub during the cruise while bands are playing. But we sat in the hot tub watching Megan Farrell perform an amazing performance with drinks. We had a waiter that came to us. We didn't even have to get out of the hot tub to go get more drinks.
That was pretty amazing.
So I just feel like it's, the only place where you can probably, unless you're super rich or something, sit in a hot tub, watch a really great performance, and have drinks being brought to you continuously.
That probably should have been in my top 5. I can't believe it wasn't.
That's why I looked at your top 5, because I was wondering if it was on there.
I left that out. That's my honorable mention.
Oh, okay.
So it probably should be in my top 5 very easily. But yeah, I just want to add that we did that again 2 days later, and we had just made some friends who turned out to be who ended up being really good friends now, and we watched Switchfoot perform from the hot tub. And what was also like extra bonus cool about that is that, not surprisingly, based on what the events of the week already, Andrew came on stage for I think it was the very last song.
Yeah.
They did Hey Jude together. And
I
so,
forgot about that.
yeah, so that was super cool. It again, the sun was setting. Andrew comes out to end the Switchfoot set, which was like an late afternoon set, and they sang "Hey Jude" together. And although we couldn't see it very well because there was a lot of people in front of us and people standing in the hot tub in front of us, we could hear it just fine, and we were having an absolute blast with the people like singing along in the hot tub.
Definitely.
So it was a very special moment for me.
So if you ever go on the Rock Boat, you have to at least watch one band play from the hot tub.
Yeah.
And even if you don't like them,
Yeah.
just put your feet in. You'll be fine.
Oh, I thought you were going to say if you don't even like the band, because I feel like it elevates your experience watching that artist.
Yeah. Kind of like I was like, I forgot we watched. I remember we were in the hot tub. If you could have just told me they were just playing random music on the speaker, I would have been like, okay.
I told Switchfoot the next morning at the meet and greet, I was like, I loved your performance in the Stardust, but I watched your second performance from the hot tub. and the one guy says, I wish I was watching it from the hot tub. Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, they thought that was really, really hilarious. So I told John Foreman, I was like, I thought, when you ran out into the crowd and you ran right by us up the stairs, I thought you were going to come out to the hot tub with us. He's like, I should have. I was like, probably better that you didn't. But yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, for my fifth, it was just like this moment. And this could have happened at any concert, anywhere. It was just like one of those special concert moments that you understand why people like a certain artist so much, because they make a connection with their audience, and they do it intentionally. They do it with intention, but they do it genuinely. I mentioned that they played Something Wild all three of the full band times of the week, which is a great song. I've enjoyed that song more in the past year than I ever have previously.
Agreed.
And I've now seen it performed 5 times live this year.
I really think it's the live performance.
Yeah, it really takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, with Morgan coming to the front and like how Andrew claps for her and kind of introduces her and gives her the spotlight, and she just gets so into it. She's got that smile on her face. It's super fun to watch. But it wasn't that moment that was so special with the violin. So during the lyrics, Andrew said, I know you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I was singing along, and we were like the second person back from the barricade, and I was like pointing to him and singing. Maybe the 5 other people around me felt the same way, but I felt like he pointed right at me and sang, like playing piano with one hand, pointing with the other while he sang that, and he pointed right back to me because I was pointing at him and singing it, and he pointed right back to me. And again, we had that. It's that intimate connection between an artist and his fans. It's like he knows what he's doing. You can tell he's grateful and he appreciates his fans. That's something I saw a lot of with the artists on the Rock Boat, is how grateful they were to have everybody there watching them.
Yeah,
so,
they definitely were.
Let's shift gears a little bit. So was there something that you feel like you missed, kind of wrapping up here, was there something you feel like you missed out on the Rock Boat at all? Or like now that you've kind of gone through the 5 days, looking back, pictures, videos, talking to people that we've met during and afterward, like, did you feel like there's something you missed or something that you might have done differently?
Well, other than the island.
Yeah, that was completely out of our control.
I would say the silent disco, because I was always in bed by then. But, I mean, it sounded super fun and all of that, but I knew how awful I would feel the next day if I stayed up that late. But everybody's pictures looked like fun, and every night there were different artists doing the silent disco with everyone. So I wouldn't call it a regret necessarily, but just wish that it was a little bit earlier.
I felt the same way most nights, because I stopped in the first night just to see what it looked like. And then 2 other Andrew fans that I became friends with on the boat, Tracy and Bree, were going another night. I happened to see them, and I was like, oh, you mind if I tag along? I had no intention of dancing, by the way, when I walked in there. But the music got me. It was emo night.
I've seen your moves.
Yeah, well, then. See, So Derek Sanders from Mayday Parade was DJing, and I just couldn't resist. I was like, okay, everybody else is dancing. I'm going to go ahead and dance. I danced for 2 hours, and I was exhausted by it. Like, I was already exhausted when I walked in there. But, even later in the week, so the next 2 nights, I was like, oh, I really want to go back because I had such a good time. But I really didn't want to go back without Marcy. And, again, I was super exhausted. So I just felt like, okay, if I have to sacrifice something, I'll sacrifice that. But if we do the Rock Boat again, I would definitely try to go again at least once, and I would hope that you'd come with me.
They need to bump it an hour earlier.
Yeah. I mean, can it be
I mean, I'm only getting older.
For us old folks, can it be at like 8 o'clock? Like,
even 11. I could swing 111.
but it was really cool again to see some of the guys from Mayday Parade dancing, having a great time. Andrew McMahon was on the dance floor for just a little while. Morgan, Bobby, and not Mikey was the only one that wasn't there. And then Chris, the manager, were all having an absolute blast. It was so much fun to see Chris and Morgan especially. Like they were just like having an absolute blast with some of their friends that they had connected with on the boat. So that was, again, I didn't approach any of them or try to dance alongside them. I was just like cool to dance near them and just see them having a great time. So to say I regret anything on the boat, I don't know if that's quite accurate. The only thing I wish for more of is
That's what I said wish for.
Yeah, the thing I wished more of or would have happened a little bit differently is that it took most of the week to really like quote make friends on the boat.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say figure out how to get from one place to another.
Well, that too. Like Marcy had to tell me which way was the front and the back of the boat every day.
All the time.
Twice a day. But no, it was just that it was, we made some awesome friends, some awesome connections. We had a lot of fun with them. I wish that would have all happened like Sunday evening. Ironically, we did make some friends Sunday evening, and we hung out with them a couple of times early on, but then we didn't see them the rest of the week. So it was just so hard to connect with people. Like you'd meet these people, be like having a great time, and it'd be like, okay, well, see you later. And then you wouldn't see them for like 2 days. And so that was just hard I wish there was better way to communicate, and then more organized settings for meeting other like-minded people. Like, hey, all the Andrew McMahon fans are getting together, and you could do that at the concert. But it was, like I'll go back to what I said in the beginning, though. It was super cool just to be surrounded by Andrew fans and music fans in general all the time. And now if we do ever go back on a rock boat and those other people decide to go again, we would already, know several people and maybe be able to start that whole setting earlier where we're hanging out with friends from the first day. So
I got one more wish. This will be a good one for anybody that's going on there and planning on. If you have a favorite drink, don't count on it. The drinks are not consistent. Yeah. I got 3 different old fashions, and they were all very different tasting.
Yeah, depending on which bartender you ask, they make it how they want.
Yeah. I mean, and Steve got one drink that we really, really liked, and he had told the bartender to surprise him. And the bartender gave it to him, and what do you call it?
I said, so what is it? He's like, it's a secret.
So he could never get that drink again either.
Best drink I had all week, and I'll never know what it was.
But even the mudslides still varied, and I
Varied
don't
in
know
quality,
how
yeah.
you vary a mudslide that much. So
yeah,
that's just a fun one of if you go on a rock boat. I mean, if you get something like wine or beer, you're okay, but mixed drink, it's a shot in the dark what it's going to taste like.
Yeah.
What it's going to be.
So speaking of future rock boats, I know we're undecided at this point on whether we're going to attend one again. We're thinking about reserving a cabin on the next one and then kind of seeing what happens. Because, anything could happen in the next year and a half. But is there an artist, besides Andrew McMahon, of course, that would draw you back? Because let's face it, he's probably not going to headline the next one. He may never headline another rock boat again. Maybe he will. But let's say that he won't. Is there an artist that would draw you back to say, I will definitely go on the next rock boat?
You really dragged that question out. My answer was Maren Morris. Like when you
were
first
ready to
asked,
say it?
I was ready, but you really pulled it out of me. Maren Morris, all the way, 100%. We'd be booked as soon as we could.
Yeah, I think there's, and that's a very different answer from mine, and I expected that. I think there's several artists that would pull me right back that I would definitely sign up for if they did. I mean, a couple of the artists that are on the next rock boat have already been announced. Neon Trees and Lit. I wouldn't mind seeing them. Either one of them. I think those are great bands. I've seen Lit before. Neon Trees I've always wanted to see, but it wouldn't necessarily draw me back just for them. So I guess I'll go with Weezer. Those of you who listen have heard me mention Weezer before, one of my favorite bands. That would draw me in. I know Weezer's had their own cruise, and maybe they will again. I don't know if I'd ever go on a Weezer cruise, but maybe if Weezer did the rock boat, that would draw me back.
They also need a few more female artists. Just saying. Yeah,
and they did have a handful, but there was definitely like a lean toward, and I think that's rock music for you, is that there's more of a lean toward males.
Just saying. So just as we were talking about this, Steve actually just got a message from one of our new friends from the Rock Boat, and it's a picture of us playing Flip Cup right after we'd won. And Steve, I don't think, has ever looked so excited in his life to have won anything, and that was just the first round.
I was pretty happy. That was early in the day too. That was noon. It was the last day, just celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
So Marcy, last question for you, and that is, so we've talked a lot about the artists we saw in general on the boat and seeing Andrew multiple times on the boat. Is there a song by Andrew or by any other artist from the boat that's you feel like is gonna remind you for a long time to come of your experience on the Rock Boat?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts on this. So first, I didn't pick an Andrew McMahon song just because I felt like it was too much
Too
a
on the
given.
nose?
It was too much a given. Like, we've talked a lot about him and all that. So I thought first about the band that I'm now a bigger fan of now since we left the Rock Boat than I was before. So I chose an American Author song because I started listening to some of their music. I know a lot of people know like their biggest one, Best Day of My Life, but I didn't pick that one either. But they were one, like, they had such energy when they performed. They really like drew the crowd in, and you really could feel their energy, and they were so upbeat. So I really enjoyed all of their performances that they had. So I decided I would go with one of theirs. And then the other part of this is I didn't have a lot of time to really prepare for this. So I had to.
I gave you 15 minutes before the recording started.
I know, but like we have kids in the house and we were making dinner. And so there was a lot of things going on. So I picked Go Big or Go Home because I feel like, this is 5 days of this. You can have so many great experiences. I know we've talked like I go to bed at 11, but I feel like I went pretty big until 11. So, but some of the lyrics are like, rescue me with a little whiskey. We did have unlimited drink package, so we definitely had a lot of drinks. But, staying out, don't need no sleep. I obviously do, but I think life's too short. It's passing by. Go big or go home. So just like embracing the experience, which I think is part of, going back to the very beginning where people said pace yourself. I think that is part of it, to embrace the experience and not just try to
Do everything.
So embrace the experience you're having, and everybody's having a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I gotta say, our friends that got off in Jamaica that we met, and the restaurant they were at, Andrew McMahon happened to be there.
And the band, and the rest of the
band. And they like stood there and talked to them for 20 minutes. I gotta say, like, that was one of those I was like,
wish I was there,
but we can't be there for every experience. Everybody's experience is unique.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So life's too short. It's passing by. Go big or go home. That was my choice.
I would say I have a slightly more serious one, but with a different sentiment, I guess, regarding the Rock Boat. And that's, after this, we've heard a lot about it. After this year we've had, we're all just kind of looking for that light at the end of the tunnel at this point. And for a lot of people, that was the Rock Boat. And in some ways it was for us too. I mean, we don't get me wrong. We're very fortunate with what we have in our lives. And, we have a great family, a great support system, and great friends here at home. But it was just good to get out among other people who love live music, be at live shows again.
Be with a group of 2,000 or whatever people that are all vaccinated and all been tested multiple times.
Yeah,
for
multiple
COVID.
times.
Like,
yeah, and feel
that blew my mind for a while.
Feel the safest safer than I feel when I go to Olive Garden. It's just a very different thing. So I also, shockingly, I didn't choose an Andrew McMahon song. There's several I could have chosen just based on some of the things I talked about today, but I really went with more of the lyrical perspective here. And in the song I've gone back to several times this past week in thinking of these lyrics, and it's actually a brand new song. Mayday Parade just dropped an album on the day that we're recording this, Friday the 19th, and I like it. I like it a lot. I'm more of a Mayday Parade fan now than I was before the boat. That's another band like American Authors, Marcy mentioned.
See, we kind of went with the same theme.
Yeah, that it's just like it's special because it's a band I wasn't as into, and I was so fortunate to get to meet them and tell them what their new songs mean to me and hearing them live. The one that really where the chorus really embodies what I felt about the Rock Boat is a song called Golden Days. So I highly recommend that one. And the chorus goes, I've got a feeling if I don't get a grip, I'll slip. and fall completely under, I need a reason, and I hope it's legit, to sing loud and from the heart, because somewhere out there I see blue skies clear of the storm, where the road is calling and it's everything we've been waiting for. I know it's somewhere out there. I'll continue hopelessly looking for that spark, because I've gotten pretty used to the dark. And I know it kind of ends on a sour note there, the chorus, and you know that Mayday Parade's an emo band. But I just think it's about us all looking for the light at the end of the tunnel after the crazy year we've had, and just looking for those experiences with people that we love and people that, you know, maybe we can love if you know, as we get to know new friends and things like that. So that's kind of what I thought of. And so when I heard that in concert last week, I was like, yeah, that sounds like kind of what I'm experiencing right now, kind of coming out of the dark and into the light, back into the light with everybody, and that's what I'm gonna keep holding on to as this Rock Boat experience goes past. You know, the Andrew shows were amazing. The other bands we got to see were there's ones we didn't even mention on here, but just a lot of great moments, a lot of great performances by artists on the Rock Boat, and it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. So
For sure.
well, Marcy, I really appreciate you being on here, helping me kind of do this Rock Boat and review episode. It's something we kind of did on the fly. I mean, we'd planned to do it, but we didn't really plan out what we were going to do, except our top 5. So I want to thank everybody again for tuning into Something in the Wilderness. And if you have any questions about how the Rock Boat works or our experience or anything, feel free to chat me on Instagram or Facebook, or shoot me an email at somethinginthewilderness@gmail.com. And if you've been on the Rock Boat in the past, or you were this year and you want to be a guest, I'd love to talk about a song on a near future episode with you. But even if you weren't ever on a Rock Boat and you want to talk about a song, also feel free to shoot me an email and we'll get you on and talk about a song together. So again, thanks, Marcy.
Thanks for having me on. It's been fun. I like this one.
Maybe I'll invite you back. We'll see.
If you want to go on the Rock Boat again, you might have to invite me back.
I might have to.
You might have to do one where people send me convincing reasons of why we have to go on the Rock Boat again.
Please comment on Instagram on why Marcy and I should go back on the Rock Boat in January 2023.
Or ways to convince your wife that you have to go back on the Rock Boat.
So I'll end with a quote that I bought a t-shirt with this quote on it. You are the boat on the ocean that rocks you to sleep.